Hey, good afternoon, Enid. This is Jerald Gilbert, your city manager, and I'm here with Scott today, and we're going to answer some of your questions. Scott?
Very good. I'm Scott Morris. I'm the assistant city manager, and we're going to attempt to answer several questions that have been asked over the last week. So we'll start off with question number one. Are individuals being fined for non-essential travel by the police or highway patrol?
Not at this time. The city is not restricting travel in or out of the city, nor are we ticketing for that specifically. But with the escalating crisis, who knows where we'll end up at some point. But that's a good question. Well, Scott, I got a question for you. Are bars and businesses being fined when they don't follow the emergency declaration?
Yes, I know of some specific examples of bars that have been fined. I don't know of any other businesses at this point that have been fined, but I know that if there are gatherings over 10 and people continue to disregard what's been put out there by the governor and by our mayor, that the police do have the ability to do that. I know they've written several warnings. They're trying to give people second chances, but they certainly have the ability to fine people for that.
Yes, another common question recently is the city imposing store limits on stores like Walmart or Harbor Freight?
I know that several of the stores, including Walmart, have really started to do a good job of trying to control how many people are in their store. Recently, Walmart has limited the number of people in their store. Usually they allow up to 5,400 people into Walmart at a time, and they've restricted it down to just over 1,000, and they have controlled entrances and exits. A lot of stores also, like Walmart, have carry-out options where you can order your things online and have them picked up. I know my wife made an order and she did not have to go into Walmart today. She was able to get the order picked up and come home without stepping into the building. So I know that's one way that stores are helping for that. So another thing that we can be doing is, if you have to get out and go buy something, don't be shopping around, don't be browsing all the aisles, don't bring your family members with you. Just send one person in, go get exactly what you need, and then make your purchase and go home.
Excellent idea.
So, Jerald, why are marijuana and liquor stores considered essential?
Well, those are very good questions too. The direct answer is that they're on the list of the governor's essential businesses. Marijuana, as you know, is considered medicine for the people that have a license for that. And the best answer I have on liquor stores right now is that is considered essential by the governor, and in our declaration that follows the governor's declaration.
Here's an interesting question that we've had. Are churches allowed to have a drive-in service, like a drive-in theater, in a parking lot where people sit in their cars and either hear the singing or the sermon live?
You know, we've had several questions about that, and we do understand with the importance of the Easter holiday that is upon us and coming up, how important this is. Our answer from the city currently is no. Those are violations of the current declaration. But we are looking for any guidance from the governor's office, and certainly looking into what, if anything, could be allowed in an innovative way, still a way that may be safe to allow people to worship as they choose. But currently, drive-bys or drive-ins are not considered essential gatherings or not allowed by the declaration. Let's see, Scott, very good question about city employees. How are you protecting city employees?
Well, the city's taken several steps to try to protect our employees. There are a lot of things that we need to continue to do, and we have to protect our workforce so that we can keep getting the trash taken out, keep the water flowing, all of the essential things that we all rely on. And so one of the first things that we did is limit access to the public into our building. So that's helped protect our employees. We have canceled a lot of meetings and pushed off a lot of other meetings. Recently, we have put out schedules where we have allowed people to work from home and we've started rotating shifts so that we have less of our workforce exposed at the same time. And in addition to that, even while we're in the building, we're all practicing social distancing. We stay away from one another. A lot of our internal meetings have even been done over video conferencing and other methods like that. So we are working hard to make sure that Enid has an essential workforce to take care of all of those things that need to be done.
Very good. Is the city giving out essential paperwork to city employees?
So if this question is about do we have letters that we've provided to all of our employees so that if they travel, they don't get a ticket? The answer is no, we haven't done that. The Enid Police Department, and we've even contacted the OHP, and like we alluded to in the previous question, no one is giving tickets for people out without any of this paperwork, so we haven't done that. So next question, Jerald, what resources are available to help me pay my rent, utilities, and other expenses while my business is closed?
Well, that's a fantastic question. It's on everybody's mind right now. There's been a significant impact to everybody, but small business owners as much as anybody, particularly the non-essential business owners that have been asked to close and have closed. Currently what the city is doing, and many of the utilities, if not all of them, is suspending disconnection notices and working with customers on payment plans and payment arrangements. And if you can't pay, we understand. Please call in though so that we can make arrangements with you. As far as your business being closed, there are many opportunities now through the Small Business Administration and one of the coronavirus relief bills that just recently passed, the CARES bill, where there's a lot of money available, something like $360 billion available for several programs like the Payback Protection Program, where small businesses can cover their payroll over the next 8 to 12 weeks or so. They can borrow up to 2.5 times their monthly payroll, and the loan will be forgiven in the future if you use it for payroll purposes or some of those approved items like utilities and potentially rent. In fact, we're going to have Lisa Powell on later this week to talk about some of those programs, and I know that Autry Tech and the Chamber are also communicating those programs and working with small business owners to try and get them help during this difficult time.
Very good. Here's a question. My job is considered non-essential, but I have things that need to be done around the building, such as maintenance and cleaning. Can I have a few of my employees come into the building with me to get some things done while we are closed to the public?
The answer that we're giving at the city now is if there's something that has to be done at your building on an emergency type basis, a hot water heater breaks, or your air conditioning goes out, or your refrigerator goes out. Those are things that are valid issues for you as a small business owner to go and work on. And if that takes an employee or so to help you, that's fine too. Your doors should still be closed. And I know that I had a question just recently this morning from someone very similar to this, and I told them the same thing. They had been visited by the police and told that they need to shut down. But I think I think the police, the facts of the matter were it was a bar, and I think some of the folks had been drinking some beer too, and so it might have been mistaken for a social gathering. Bars are closed anyway. However, it is fair for bars or anybody else, if something's wrong with the building and needs to be fixed, you can do it. But you can't be open for business, and you can't be violating the social gathering rules and the other rules that are in place to protect us from the CDC and Department of Health.
Very good.
Oh, Scotty, now it's your turn. My company isn't on the essential list. So we're being told, I work for a non-essential company and I'm being told I got to come to work every day. Is that okay, and should I continue to do that?
If businesses are on the non-essential list, the employees should be staying at home. And like you alluded to on the last question, unless there's some type of maintenance issue that's an emergency, you shouldn't be asking your employees to come into work if you're a non-essential business. So the answer on that one is no.
Yes, and that's where those small business programs can help, at least over the next couple of months or so, because if you get one of those loans, it allows you to pay your employees, to protect them by keeping them at home and have them available for when the business can reopen, and then that money that the government gives you through the banks as a loan gets forgiven later. So that's a way for you to be able to accomplish that.
Yes.
Another question from somebody else is, my job is non-essential and I have 3 kids at home, no child care available. My employer hasn't mentioned or offered remote work or any kind of alternate scheduling. And so my question is, what should I do? And does the new Families First Corona Response Act, does it offer a 12-week leave plan?
And the answer is yes. It does answer a 12-week leave plan. You are eligible to under FMLA to have 2 weeks paid at 2/3 of your normal salary, and then there is an option where you may qualify for an additional 10 weeks. But I would definitely contact your HR person or your employer to find out those details. But yes, they should offer that to you, and it is available.
Yes.
All right. Are doctors in Enid able to test the patients, and will there be other days and times for drive-through testing in the future?
Yes, I know from conversations with both of the hospital administrators that the doctors that they work with all have the capability, and the hospitals do, to test folks. You need to see your primary care physician, or you need to call the Department of Health to get in to see them to check on that kind of testing. And the follow-up question about will there be other days offered where drive-through testing is offered, yes. I do not have the details of when and where, but I know the Department of Health is continuing to work on future follow-up drive-by days, and at some point potentially testing available at the Department of Health. That's not currently scheduled, but it's coming.
The next question, are Enid and Garfield County nursing homes being provided COVID testing and protective supplies? And also, how can families be notified if their loved one becomes ill and are experiencing COVID symptoms?
Well, first and foremost, I would advise folks with loved ones or with people that they're looking after in the nursing homes to reach out to the nursing home and ask them specifically about their policies. I do know that all the nursing homes have been locked down for weeks now to the outside public, and I applaud that effort as that helps protect the residents that live there. They are, by definition, the residents that live there are in the vulnerable population, so I know that testing is available for them. I don't know the specifics of how that works in the nursing home, so if you have someone or concerned about someone there, I would recommend you call the administrator of your nursing home they're in, and they can give you the exact details.
Very good. Here's another question. When will real testing begin here? I see where 98 tests were completed at the Expo Center, but from a sample that size for a population of 50,000, it would be almost impossible to know anything from it. So do you have any comments about when will any more testing occur in Garfield County?
I know there's testing available now if you show any of the symptoms, and you just need to present yourself to your doctor by calling first or going through telemedicine and getting referred, or contact the Department of Health, and you can call the 1-800 number to get in contact with them, and testing will be available there. If the question is meant, when will testing be prevalently available for people that can just go and check right now and see if I have had it already, or to see if I've got it now, the testing's availability is not there yet for that. I know that's coming. I can't tell you when it's going to be here, but I know that's in the works. I do know that last Friday, out of the 98 tests given, they had over 200 tests available, and I realize it was short notice for the public and not convenient for some, but 98 tests were given in a 4-hour period. I realize it doesn't give us an overall snapshot. That wasn't necessarily what it was intended to do at that time. It was intended to help folks that were showing symptoms, and we'll find out those results in 5 to 7 days, and I would anticipate that probably some of them were probably positive, but we're going to find out in 5 to 7 days.
And next question, is anyone in Enid currently on a ventilator?
I can't answer that question. I don't know. I do know that currently the hospitals have good supplies of COVID-related supplies and certainly are continuing to work their contingency plans.
Are there any plans for additional spacing for hospital beds if the need arrives?
As a matter of fact, there is. I know, without knowing the details, just being on some conference calls with both Krista Roberts and Finney Matthew, I know that they have extensive plans in operation now to maximize the beds they have available. And as you know, for some time they've been having to report that daily to the governor's office. Additionally, I know that the governor's office has requested aid through the National Guard, and there's an assessment team from the Corps of Engineers here this afternoon actually to take a look at our Stride Bank Center as a possible backup facility. Again, I stress that this is an assessment at this time, and they will put it into their planning and as needed. I'm sure we'll know and hear more about that soon, but those are just some of the plans to help assure the folks out there that should the number of patients dramatically rise in a short period of time, there's a plan in place now already with the 2 hospitals, and we're looking at a backup facility if needed.
Very good.
All right, Scott, let's see. Public safety. Although the police department says they currently don't have plans to do so, and I believe this is related to stopping traffic in town, in or out of town, what's their escalation policy should the need arise? And if they don't have one, well, that's a comment, I guess. If they don't have one, they're not ready.
I'd say our Enid Police Department is doing their very best job. They don't want to impede traffic. They don't want to impede travel. And at this time, they're not asking anyone for any paperwork of where they're going, what kind of job that they have, whether it's essential or non-essential. But I will say that our police department is very prepared, and if they need to enact any of those travel restrictions, if the governor or the mayor decides that's something that we want to do, they are ready. And I have high confidence in our police department that whatever comes up, they'll be able to respond.
Very good. All right, I got a quality of life question for you, Scott. There's no way the country club, Meadow Lake, or golf is essential. If you guys can pick and choose who's essential, then people can't be restricted at a bar, Walmart, etc. So explain how that works, how the golf course is still open.
Well, one of the things that the governor says is essential is outdoor exercise. Matter of fact, it's encouraged to have outdoor exercise, and it does a lot of things for people, not only their mental status, but being outdoors, you're usually touching less items. You're not touching doors, you're not touching computer desks, other things like that. You're outside. The UV rays that are emitted can help break down the virus, from what I've read. And so right now we want to encourage outdoor activities, and the golf course has done a lot of things to try and mitigate any possible spreading of the virus. They're wiping down carts. They're making people take separate carts if there are a couple of people. They have already what's the right word? They've already canceled all of the tournaments, all of the big group events that they had planned, and so golf is open for individuals. And there are 150 acres out there, and so generally it's 1 or 2 people out by themselves, out in a park, as you would be if you were just at Meadow Lake or one of our other parks. But it is a great question, because there are people that are in parks that are really not following social distance guidelines. And so part of answering that question is yes, we want people to be able to run, to bike, to play golf, to do outdoor exercise, but we need them to also follow social distancing guidelines. And so going to the park to have a big barbecue and grill out with all of your friends and be close together, that's not why the park is open. And so it's the same way with the golf courses. All of the outdoor seating, patio seating, they've removed those things so that you can't just sit there with a group of people and sit around. So it's really meant to fulfill that outdoor exercise and give people an opportunity to not only get the exercise they need, but support what they need for their mental health status.
Very good.
All right, will the emergency declaration be extended past April 30th?
I can't say for certain. However, it seems very likely given the current environment, and it's not very likely that things are going to improve so dramatically before the end of April. So I would just plan on it will likely get extended. I can't say that with certainty now, and ultimately the mayor will make that decision.
Very good.
Scott, if you're not required to file taxes, will I still get a stimulus check, and how will it come to me?
The answer to that question is yes. As long as you qualify for the income requirements, you will get a stimulus check, and it will come in the form of, if you receive Social Security or some other benefit where the IRS has your routing number and bank information, that's the method that it will come. So even if you have not filed your 2019 taxes, they will still release the stimulus check to you. I read this morning that if you have not filled out your 2018 taxes, you need to do so now. and if the IRS has your bank information, that's the method that it will come. If they do not have any of your bank information, or you don't have a bank account, then they will send a check. And when will it come? What I read this morning said that the second week of April, starting around the 13th, that's when all of the online banking transactions will start to happen. But if you are receiving a check, they will not release those until about the first week in May, and that it may take a long time to get through all of the checks. I know from what I've read, they have prioritized, and they are sending checks to the lowest income people first and going in that order. There should be a website out there that should become public, a government IRS website where you can, if you have a bank account, get that in there. But I would be very cautious, because there are a lot of scammers during this time that are going to be asking for your information, and I would not give them any of it. So the IRS should have your information and be able to get your...
I think they have everybody's information, so yes.
All right, Jerald, very last question. What can we as citizens and residents do during this time to help during the pandemic?
The number one thing is stay home. Stay home if you can. The mayor's put out a declaration that in a non-essential business you need to close. Your employees should be home. Even in essential businesses, you should be looking at who is mission critical and who's not, and look for ways to either remote work or do alternate schedules to reduce the risk to not only your employees, but also to preserve the employees that you have, because as we've talked about, we expect this probably is going to go on for a couple of months or so, and the city of Enid, still needs to provide some essential services, as you pointed out already, and so do others out there. But the number one thing you could do is stay home.
Very good. Well, we have really appreciated you guys taking the time to watch this program today, and I wanted to remind you of a few things that are coming up throughout the week. Tomorrow we'll have the Enid Fire Department on to cover some public safety comments, and on Wednesday we will have ATS Counseling here to talk about mental health and crisis and counseling. Thursday we'll have the Enid Regional Development Alliance on to talk about businesses, and on Friday the 10th the Garfield County Health Department will be on for another health update, and hopefully be able to answer any other questions that you might have regarding health at this time. So thanks again for joining our show today, and have a wonderful afternoon. Everybody stay safe and stay home.